Hello all. So for this week's reflection, in class we discussed the adaptive mindset paper. We talked about it in detail as far as what was expected, the topics we could choose from, all the way down to the video presentations and what he expected from the topics where he did want to see a 3 to 5 minute video. And I struggled. I had such a hard time not only choosing a topic, but trying to wrap my head around just one, the concept, and not coming off like I was just rewording things that I've learned. I wanted to actually represent what I've learned about the growth mindset and what I've learned about an adaptive mindset and how I can apply that to who I am currently and who I look forward to being in the future as I continue to grow in this journey. And I did make my decision. I finished everything on time, and I was so happy with the way that it came out in a third-party perspective. I do have a lot of edits and revisions to do, and I'm hoping that, you know, I don't take away from my personal experiences and the things that I wanted to see come to life on a piece of paper, my thoughts, my feelings. Like, I had a lot of passion. I sat down and I wrote. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote as Art had told me to do. He was like, you know, just write, and you can always revise. You can always cut words down, but just write, write, write. So that's exactly what I did. As far as home life, everybody is on the mend. We're feeling better. We're still struggling a little bit with the sickness and, you know, Lysoling and keeping hands clean. And it's not easy with a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old. Trying to keep everybody healthy, but you know, the Flintstone vitamins are being taken every morning, my vitamins, the husband's, and we are definitely on the mend. I have delayed this week's reflection. I lost a big part of my life this week to a major heart attack. My Uncle Larry, he had a lot of struggles with a knee operation that ended up in a bloodstream MRSA infection, rehospitalized to get rid of the infection, and 3 months later find out that the hardware is malfunctioning. And so they go back in, try to fix the hardware, and he ends up with another infection. And all this time he was being cared for by ChristianaCare. I don't know if anybody knows of ChristianaCare. It's a Delaware-based health system, and I am not a fan. I do not care for ChristianaCare. You are a number there, and I feel like they don't look at the person as a whole. And during the antibiotic course, the stress, the pain, and everything into his heart, he ended up having a major heart attack, and I have to attend services for a man that I've known all my life, the man who taught me how to catch the big mouth trouts. And you know, it's hard trying to wrap my head around this man who was such a key component in my life no longer being in my life. I also then had to relay this to my 8-year-old who understands death to a point. He's had loss in his life between grandparents and animals. And again, the same way my Uncle Larry taught me to fish and how to just live life and not be stuck in the house. And he's relayed this to my 8-year-old. And my 2-year-old, he hasn't taken her fishing, but he had planned to. And, you know, so I approached my 8-year-old with it last night and asked him if he wanted to go to the services. And I was very surprised with the maturity my 8-year-old presented. He did not want to go to the services. His last service was for his grandmother, and he remembers feeling sad for everybody who was sad. My son is a sensitive soul, and for him to be in that much sadness and despair and being around people he doesn't even know, it hurts him to his soul. So he's not going to go, but he took a very mature approach to it. He was happy that his Uncle Larry was a believer in God, and he knew he was up there in heaven with his dog Merlot and his grandmother. And he comforted me. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big crier, so I didn't cry. But my emotions do show. So he comforted me, and he said to me, "Mommy, it's okay because Uncle Larry's in heaven, and we should be happy that he's not in pain anymore." And I couldn't be happier for his reaction, even in such a sad time. So that's something our family is currently going through and working through, and I think that's why my post was delayed, because this is a big part of my week that it's emotionally pulling on some heartstrings, and I wanted to put it into my video. I just didn't know if I was ready to talk about it, if I was ready to bring something that's not real in my eyes yet. And then I start to wonder, have I lost human insensitivities that I have not cried over my Uncle Larry's death? I'm not a big crier, I understand that, but I haven't shed a tear over my Uncle Larry's death. And I've ultimately come to the conclusion that I'm happy for him. I know where he's went because he was a believer. And he's not in pain anymore. I'm going to miss him, but you know what? We're going to carry on, and we're going to fish. And when we fish, we're going to think of him, because Uncle Larry has given us little fish cameras, and he's given us bobbers and sinkers. And my son has a fishing pole that he handcrafted from a larger fishing pole because Anthony was too little to carry the large one. So Uncle Larry made that big fishing pole my son loved work for him. So we're going to miss him very dearly in our lives, but the show goes on, and that is my weekly reflection.